Tropical Storm Franklin forms in the Caribbean on tonight's Tropical Weather Bulletin. And now the latest around the wide world of tropics. Tropical Weather Bulletin for August 21st. Our team are providing a live update on Tropical Storm Hilary right now as it moves on into California, a very serious flooding threat. We also have two tropical storms now in the Atlantic, Emily and Franklin. Franklin, the latter of the storms, could be a significant threat to Hispaniola. Let's zoom in on all of what's going on right now. It is a very active tropic. 6L in the middle of those two as well, a depression. It doesn't look like it will get a name. 40% chance in the Gulf of Mexico for an impact possibly in Texas, and a 70% chance moving through Cape Verde shortly that will emerge out over the open Atlantic. In the eastern Pacific, Hilary is on its way out but producing extraordinary amounts of rainfall in parts of California, at least for their averages, and lots of flash flood warnings in effect right now. Two other areas of interest that we've got marked further towards the southeast, a 30% chance off the coast of Central America. The remnants of Lan are still active, just about to die off completely now near the Aleutian Islands, and we also have an area of interest with a 20% chance in the open western Pacific, which will be heading eventually probably towards the Japanese islands, but low confidence in that actually happening. In the Indian Ocean, no areas of interest, but lots of monsoonal rainfall occurring across Indochina and up through the Himalayas. So a very busy day across the tropics today. Let's take a look at Franklin right now, our latest tropical storm. And a tropical storm watch in effect for pretty much the entire south coast of Hispaniola, Haiti and the Dominican Republic. It is 417 kilometers from Isla Sayona, 455 from Punta Cana, 519 from Santo Domingo, the capital of the Dominican Republic, 698 from the Haitian capital, Port-au-Prince, and 866 from Coburn Town in the Turks and Caicos Islands. It's expected to strike Hispaniola probably as a mid-range, maybe even a strong tropical storm, and then shoot on through towards the northeast. It will recurve. Hilary then, moving into California, just about to cross the border by the looks of things. Tropical storm warning still in effect as far as Port Mugu, 69 kilometers from Mexicali at this present time, 81 from Tijuana, 99 from San Diego, 268 from Los Angeles, and 427 from Las Vegas. We could see an additional 3 to 4 inches of rain for all points north of the storm center right now, and that could cause significant and very dangerous flash flooding and landslides. Satellite imagery then, first of all honing in on Hilary, and you can see all of that cloud really getting stretched further north now, and we'll get the radar overlay here as well. You can see lots of yellows and oranges over the Los Angeles metro area, Bakersfield as well, and to the east of there into San Bernardino, lots and lots of rainfall for those mountains, and Hilary's extent really stretches all across the western United States there as we see it going off into the distance. Look at the Atlantic then, we've got a few areas of interest of course, and the tropical storms. Franklin you can clearly see with that big bulk of convection near its center, but it does have wind shear to contend with on the western side. It is almost exposing its circulation. 6L is quite difficult to spot there, but you can see it in the middle of the two, and Emily there as well. You can see it there reaching its peak probably at 50 miles per hour, and it's also having a tough time with wind shear. Tropical disturbance near Cape Verde looking good there on that imagery there, and in the Gulf of Mexico the first rumblings of this developing system starting to emerge now off the western coast of the Florida Keys. My narration may sound pretty rushed there because there's so many things to look at. Looking back towards California there, and you can see those clouds affecting that whole region as we turn towards the water vapor imagery, and going on a tour once again through the whole Atlantic basin with all of its 5 areas of interest in differing ways. but Franklin looks like it's got the highest chance of becoming something in the next few days. Maybe that wave behind it, but we aren't expecting huge things out of that. Eastern Pacific sea surface temperatures look like this, around about 30 degrees Celsius. They've cooled a little bit where Hilary has been tracking, but still looking very hot indeed. Gulf of California looking very hot. Atlantic Ocean, Gulf of Mexico looking very warm indeed, 32 degrees plus maybe in one or two spots. Up the Gulf Stream and large parts of the open Atlantic as well, where Franklin will be tracking around about 28-29 degrees Celsius at minimum, and probably increasing after that. Western Pacific's got lots of warm waters in its proximity, large areas there above 30 degrees Celsius around the Mariana Islands as well. Up towards Japan, where warm temperatures continue there too, but a little bit one or two areas a little bit messed up there because of recent tropical cyclones. North Indian Ocean, Bay of Bengal, around about 29 to 30 degrees Celsius in one or two spots. Arabian Sea still got lots of work to do before its secondary peak in October, November. And in the Southwest Indian Ocean, into its off-season, of course, well into the off-season now, but still holding on to 26 degrees waters in one or two spots in Madagascar, and for one or two parts of the top end of Australia. But in general, temperatures are way down. Same story there for Fiji. Regular viewers will know that it's been like that for a fair while now. Oceanic heat anomalies look like this. Western Pacific is generally a little bit above average. Eastern Pacific, that cool pool seems to be shrinking, getting warm in the tropical zones now, and in the Atlantic it's above average in most areas. Caribbean probably less so than the rest of those areas. Gulf of Mexico and the Eastern Atlantic are the hot points right now, 2 to 3 degrees above quite comfortably, and the open Atlantic also fairly warm. Oceanic heat content, so Franklin will have a few spots there to really get into as it moves towards the north. It's wind shear that's going to be its main enemy. Eastern Pacific still has a few spots off the coast of Mexico that has some good oceanic heat content, and the Western Pacific right through the Philippine Sea has good areas there all through that lateral line around 10-20 degrees north that has lots and lots of energy. GFS model then, taking a look at all this, it doesn't really capture Franklin well at all, but eventually it does hit Dominican Republic there as a significant tropical storm. Emily dies quickly. The next system on the east side starts to develop and becomes a hurricane. 2 hurricanes at the same time there within that 5-day period, and forming a Bermuda Triangle of sorts in all 3 of those systems. Emily, Franklin, and that next system all coming together there in a very interesting configuration. There's Hilary sweeping off towards the north, and that system that's striking Texas there. So it's all going on right now. GFS is much more confident than recent that it will become a tropical storm before it makes landfall, so those chances are rising. We're a little bit uncertain about it. GFS is one of the strongest contenders for this now, though. Other models still aren't as sure. And as you can see there, those brown outlines, all those flash flood warnings that are currently in effect in the southern part of California. Looking at the Eastern Pacific into the deep tropics, you can see 2 potential systems forming. That 30% that we've given off the coast of Central America, there were stronger signals yesterday. We gave it 40%, but those signals are dying off a little bit, and that actually might survive into the Atlantic there, or at least some remnant of it, or maybe it will spark a new system, and then maybe a second system in the Eastern Pacific that forms further towards the west. That's what the National Hurricane Center have as a low chance right now. Rainfall expectations then for areas that Franklin will be affecting. We're mainly looking at Hispaniola for really some substantial amounts of rainfall. This is what we often get with these these heavily sheared storms. It can really pile up the convection into one central location of the storm, and if it does, probably the eastern side of the center there. 15 inches on the potential there for central Dominican Republic, maybe even over the capital, Santo Domingo, getting up towards 5 inches in Puerto Rico, and for Haiti probably not so much there, at least at its current trajectory. Same too for the Turks and Caicos Islands, but 15 inches being the maximum. That's nearly 400 millimeters, and getting up towards 7 at Isla Sayona, and nearly 12 inches further towards the northwest. Into the longer range, day 5 through 10, look at those 3 systems in tandem there in the open Atlantic by this point, Franklin becoming the strongest again, becoming probably a category 2 there, and maybe giving Atlantic Canada a run for its money. Then that system that's been patiently waiting, that initially lies near Cape Verde, becomes a stronger hurricane, doesn't have much steering about it, so it does linger around for quite a while. And Emily there, well off towards the north by this point, and shooting off over the Atlantic, and then Franklin follows it, and then eventually that next system will follow those too. Western Pacific for this period, a potential system that forms there near Japan, and then maybe another one that forms at a lower latitude, not too far from the Mariana Islands. It seems to be this kind of pattern at the moment. Western Pacific appears to be struggling a little bit, although at the end of that loop, two systems look like they do form right at the end. One in the South China Sea, but GFS has been hinting at that for literally weeks now, and another one there in the Philippine Sea that could end up becoming a system. That's out towards day 10 though, it's quite some distance away. Blimey, so much to talk about. Well, you can scan the barcode and take a look at the Force 13 merch store whilst you're here, and we have all of our usual items, including full season and individual storm animations. And despite everything else forming, one thing hasn't, and that's Hone, which we're still waiting for, so you can get the t-shirt still. We haven't pulled it from our shelves. In the Scilly range, the third system there then eventually starts to move towards the northeast, recurves late on there, category 2 however, and then another system in the Atlantic, a Cape Verde hurricane there, becoming quite a powerful one, category 3 towards the end of that run there. So lots of people will be getting ideas into their heads about the potential impacts from that one. I'm sure people will be saying Irma straight away. It is pretty much around the same time of year, it has to be said, but it's way too early to make any kind of suggestions regarding that one. Western Pacific, two systems active there into the early days of September, and it looks like they're doing a little bit of a dance around each other. A significant typhoon into the western part of Japan, and then that next system which sticks around for a little bit longer. That one near the Philippines west coast really doesn't last very long at all. It dies off super quick. Some of its energy might get transferred into that second typhoon in the middle, but that is very long range, so it's speculative at best at the moment as we get towards the end of that 16-day period. Force 13's Eastern Tour is on the way. We'll be in Athens, Singapore, Cebu and Hong Kong. The trip kicks off in just over 2 weeks' time, and we'd be thrilled if you could join us and do a little meet and greet. Send us a message if you're interested in that and if you're in one of those areas. You can also chat to us and with our 3,500 weather watchers from around the world on our Discord server. Discord.gg/Force13 for tropical weather chat and general weather chat from around the world. On this day in 1998, we had Tropical Storm Bonnie, which would eventually become a Category 3 major hurricane. We also had Charlie, which had just formed in the Gulf of Mexico, would strike southern Texas, quite similar to the current system that we're looking at actually. And Howard had formed in the Eastern Pacific and had become a Category 1 hurricane. We also had an unnumbered, undesignated, or whatever you want to call it, but a tropical depression in the South China Sea, just about to strike Hainan on this date in 1998. 25 years already. Back to today, we are code yellow, and that's for Franklin now, not Hilary. The next name in the Atlantic is Gert. In the Eastern Pacific, it's Irwin, and in the Central Pacific, it of course is still Hone. 41 storms so far this year as of the recording time. In the Western Pacific, the next name is Saola, and in the North Indian Ocean, it will be Tej. As of this tropical weather update, we are live covering Hilary's landfall in California and its major rain threat right now. So feel free to tune in, or you can tune in to our 24/7 live stream, which we have activated for significant storm events. It's active right now. There's the next names in the Southern Hemisphere, and we'll be back again with another tropical weather bulletin tomorrow night.